Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. And yeah, this isn't the same setup as usual. You know, where are we right now? This, if you guys have been an OG to the channel, you guys would have known there's only been one other video with this background. Credit to you if you know which one it is. But we're here doing this 2022 tier list. You know, I actually recorded something similar. Didn't like the video. It was a little long and I was like, you know, I think I could do better. But instead I decided to do a tier list instead of talking about each pay-per-view in depth. We're gonna be, obviously you guys know what the tier list is. You know, I'm gonna put each card into a tier list. I'm only gonna be ranking the pay-per-view section, so the prelims are not going to be included. We'll talk about some of the prelims, but that's basically it. So let's hop into the business right now. If you guys aren't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And yeah, so let's get into this. We have our sections and new stacked pretty good, decent. And what the fuck was that card? So we're gonna start with the first card of the year. Is Francis Ngannou, Cyril Gane, co-main event Brandon Moreno, Davison Figueiredo, and that was really it on the card. Main event was really good. Co-main event was also really good delivered, but the rest of the card really was not that good. I mean, you had Michelle Pera in it, but that was about it. So I'm gonna put that in decent. I mean, a lot of talk about the UFC trying to lower Francis Ngannou's pay-per-view numbers with that card, trying to make him look less like a star because they wanted the pay-per-view to kind of tank. That's why it's indecent. But I did like the Francis Ngannou and Brandon Moreno fights. I love Cyril Gane. I was super hyped for this fight. That's why the card is on decent and not what the fuck is that card, because maybe if it drops one of those fights, it's in another category. Let's put it that way. All right, next February we had Izzy versus Rob 2. This card was also similar in the fact that it had really just 3 good fights. It had Derek Brunson on it, Jared Cannonier, Izzy Rob, obviously main event, and co-main event, who could forget, Derek Lewis, Tai Tuivasa. That fight was probably the best one on the card. Definitely not in pretty good. You know, obviously the Izzy fight was pretty disappointing. I don't know now. I'll put what the fuck is this card? I'll put it in decent. Next up, we're up to 72. UFC 272, Covington, Masvidal. Obviously, there was so much bad blood going into it. Obviously, Jorge Masvidal, Colby Covington hated each other, still hate each other. Literally, after the fight, Jorge Masvidal assaulted Colby Covington. But that being said, how else was the rest of the card? You know, the main event, in my opinion, was very lackluster, pretty bland. I think Colby, I don't have a problem with wrestling, but the problem is like when Colby isn't using ground and pound. Like, Colby is such a great wrestler, but he just doesn't use ground and pound. You know, I mean, I understand he's not a submission threat, but I mean, come on. Like, I feel like he could utilize some ground and pound and could have finished Masvidal at least, you know. So, a little underwhelming, the main event. Main event, pretty good fight. Rafael Fiziev and Renato Moicano stepping in on less than a week's notice. And of course, you had the Bryce Mitchell, Edson Barboza fight, Kevin Holland, Alex Oliveira fight, and I can't think of any other fights on top of the head. So, where does this lie? Originally, I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was gonna go, what the fuck is this card? But you got Kevin Holland on the card, I think I'm still gonna put no, what the fuck is this card? Just because that's like a fight night, you know? It's, you know, good for a fight night. But, I mean, you had these two coming off of losses. The main event wasn't even that good. Come on, I mean, the way that they were talking, you would have thought that they were going to go in there and have an absolute 5-round war. Just wasn't that. So, next, we have, in my opinion, the start. I feel like UFC always starts kind of a little lackluster, has a few bumpy roads, except for 2023, where you're just starting with bangs with Islam Volkanovski, you know, Glover, Jamal Hill, you know, that whole Rio card. This card was a very underrated card in my opinion. 273. We had the headliner, Volkanovski, Korean Zombie. We had the Sterling Yan 2 fight. I mean, at the time, it's hard to remember that there was a time where Aljamain didn't beat Yan. I mean, remember that time where everyone was like, Yan is going to destroy Aljo, and Aljo's a clown? Yeah, well, those days are behind us. Of course, fight of the night, Hamza Burns. Great fight as well there. Where does this rank? I'm going pretty good. I think it was a pretty good card. Don't think it was stacked. And also, I want to remind everybody, sorry, I forgot to mention this, and new category, only one thing is going to go in there. You know, the top pay-per-view of the year, and we're going to find that out. So, pretty good. It was a pretty good card. Oliveira, Gaethje, UFC 274, right? Yeah, UFC 274, co-main event, Rose, Namajunas, Carlos Esparza. Not going to preferably talk about that one. Chandler, Ferguson. All right, so where am I going to put this one? You got to put it in pretty good, because of that Carlo fight. Main event, obviously contender for fight of the year. Co-main event, you almost had a Valentina Shevchenko upset with Talia Santos almost beating her. You had Jake Matthews having that goated-ass performance. You had Joanna getting flatlined and retiring. Good card. Definitely, I would definitely put this in the upper end of pretty good, like almost stacked. Next up, we got UFC 276, Cannonier, Israel Adesanya. You know, this fight was great. I mean, the card was so hyped going into it. In my opinion, did not live up to the hype. I mean, you had the O'Malley incident with Pedro Munoz, where it was a no contest and kind of was a lackluster fight anyway. And then you had the Robbie Lawler Brian Barberena fight. That was a good fight. I think got fight of the night. I had Strickland, Pieta Flatline Strickland. You had the Max Volkanovski trilogy, and obviously Volkanovski shockingly just dominates Max from bell to bell. I mean, you know, and then you had that lackluster main event, and I think because of the Sean O'Malley in the main event, you got to put him pretty good. Oh, okay, UFC 277, Pena Nunez. I think this card got a little more hate than it deserves. Definitely not stacked. It got pretty good. It was pretty good. I liked the main event. I thought the main event was all right. I mean, I especially watching it was a good fight. Co-main event, Brandon Moreno, Kai Kara France. Felt like it was starting to get going, and then the fight ended. Still a good fight, though. Just he said, oh, Derek Lewis. I thought that was a Derek Lewis, Sergey Pavlovich. I thought it was earlier, though. Oh, Pantoja. That was a good card. I'm not going to lie. You had Anthony Smith. A lot of weird finishes in that card. The Anthony Smith finish, the Brandon Moreno, Kai Kara France finish, the Derek Lewis late, the early stoppage. I'm going to put it above, but put it above there. I think it was above, just because it lived up to I feel like it exceeded expectations. Next up, UFC 278. I think that's a card, well, a main event that's gonna live in UFC history. You know, obviously you had Usman, you know, obviously pound for pound #1, then dominates Leon from bell to bell, and then gets head kicked in the last round. Pretty shocking there. So where does this rank? And then of course you had the co-main event, Paulo Costa, Luke Rockhold, you know, featured bout, Jose Aldo, Merab Dvalishvili. Obviously a little lackluster, and I think they needed like another title fight on this one. I'm gonna put this one here just because of the main event. Come on, and the Paulo Costa fight was really good. UFC 279. Now, if this fight would have been like if the fight night, not the fight night, the pay-per-view happened how they wanted it to, it would have gone here. I mean, it wouldn't even have gotten a category here. But because of the whole switch up, because of all the hype, they had the Diaz-Ferguson card, you had the Diaz-Ferguson fight, finally, the fight that I've always wanted throughout my whole life, and Kevin Holland and Khamzat Chimaev. Yeah, that switch around with the beef, and I'm gonna put this one in the upper end of decent. Don't think it was quite there. The main event was good, but Kevin Holland at the end of the day wasn't really too good. D-Rod, not that it wasn't too good, but it was just, you know, Khamzat being Khamzat, and D-Rod and Li Jingliang. Obviously, a lot of people think Li got robbed. So next up, UFC 280. Now, this was really the most hyped pay-per-view, in my opinion, of last year. Oliveira, Makhachev. We don't talk about that main event because out here we're Oliveira fans. Sterling, Dillashaw. Obviously, kind of a disappointing one because of that whole shoulder thing, but either way, didn't really ruin the night or anything. Jan O'Malley. People think Jan got robbed. I think good decision. I agree. O'Malley, close fight, split decision. I agree. You know, you had the Beneil Dariush fight, Tejas Gamrot. You know, kick it off with Katlyn Chookagian and Manon Fiorot, or, you know, come on, it's got to go in stacked. UFC 281, I was there for this card in real life. It was amazing, really. I mean, this card from the prelims, I know we're not supposed to talk about the prelims because we're ranking the pay-per-views, but, you know, we start off with Dan Hooker getting back on track, beating Claudio Puelles, and then we have that sad Frankie Edgar knockout where he just was out cold in his retirement fight. Then you had, of course, you had Chandler Dustin as a featured bout. Then you had Carla, which was the fight of the night. Carla, Zhang Weili. Zhang Weili absolutely dominates Carla and submits her. Definitely gotta put this one in stack. Blachowicz versus Ankalaev. Yeah, this card was not it, man. I mean, let's be real. So this card obviously was supposed to be Yuri Glover 2. Got canceled a little less than 2 weeks beforehand. Then, you know, you look at the full card. The card wasn't really that good to begin with. Here, definitely need a little beef. So I'm going to put this one here. Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like if you did. Let me know your thoughts. Goodbye. So I just realized I didn't put anything in the and new category, even though I was supposed to, and that was literally the whole point of the video. I'm going to announce the best pay-per-view of the year goes to UFC 281. I just enjoyed UFC 281. I mean, the Adesanya upset with Pereira, and obviously the whole card all around, prelims and everything. Obviously, we're not supposed to be counting prelims, but overall, that was the best card. But thank you guys for watching so much. Can't believe I forgot that. I literally filmed this tier list video about 2 weeks ago and just decided to release it now, but
I can't believe I just forgot it. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you want to see more tier lists, and I'll see you guys in the next one.